If you want to continue to follow our adventure, click subscribe. So you don't miss anything, click the bell notification. Hello, Last on the Road subscribers and followers. I remember back in the mid-2000s, my dad started the nomadic lifestyle. And, you know, he did the work camper program. You know, it was really hard to find any information on this lifestyle. Him and his wife and his two dogs. It wasn't overly advertised or popularized until the latter part of the 2000s. As a matter of fact, one of the large YouTubers just had a live feed the other day, and he said there was an explosion of nomads in the late 2000s. And I got to thinking about this. I'm wondering, is it because of the social media phenomenon? Facebook was just starting to take off at that time, and YouTube was just starting to take off at that time. People were getting away from blogs and into Facebook, YouTube, and all of a sudden there's this explosion of people wanting to come out here. And today, if you get into Facebook and you look at the van dweller groups and the RV groups and the extreme low budget RV groups, it's everywhere. And everybody is talking about how great this lifestyle is. And so let me give you a few examples of folks that really think this is a good lifestyle and we really should be doing it. And then you start to find out, well, maybe that's not the case. So there's this guy who's been commenting on my YouTube channel for several months now, I don't know, a couple months. He's always talking about, you know, all the things that I'm doing wrong in this lifestyle, that I'm not heating the thing properly, and I got the wrong vehicle, and I got the wrong camper, and water is not as big an issue, and he tells me to go get water tanks. And so people start reading these comments, and just like in Facebook, people start reading these comments like, oh, well, that's not a problem. Okay, I got it figured out. This guy's, you know, smarter than this guy, and all I got to do is follow this guy. Well, then you find out that this guy who thinks he's smarter than everybody else is living in a older model vehicle on his property. And so the truth starts to come out. Wait a minute, he's not even traveling, so he doesn't have the problem of having to leave every 2 weeks. He can stay on his property all year round if he wants. Then, you know, we talk about vehicles. My vehicle is a fairly new vehicle, and I think I really need a vehicle. And of course, he said he didn't need a vehicle, a very new vehicle. He can use an old one, but he's not traveling around. He's in a location, so he doesn't even need a vehicle at all. It doesn't even have to run, in my opinion. And so then you begin to wonder, well, is he even telling the whole truth? Does he have a water issue like I do? Does he have to go find water like I do? Well, of course not. Either he's probably got a well right on his property, or he's worked something out in his nearest town that got water that he can just quickly go get, no big deal. When you're on these social media sites, all of a sudden, if you really start to pay attention to any one particular individual, you'll find out, that's not what they were really advertising. They don't want to say, no, don't come out here and live this lifestyle. I was watching a live feed of a YouTuber a while back. Somebody asked the question, what's your advice on living in a pop-up camper? Now, having lived in a pop-up camper for over a year, I was kind of excited to know this fella's answer. And he said, no, you don't want to live in a pop-up camper. That's a horrible idea. And he listed off all kinds of reasons why it's a bad idea. They'd be terrible in windstorms. They're hard to heat. Bears would love to come into them. And he says, you always needed a hard side camper. But right when he finished up, he said, but if that's all you have, then by all means, you should go live in it. Well, he couldn't even stick to his values long enough to say no on a subject. Who can you trust type of thing? Got this other person that likes to comment a lot. He said something that really disturbed me. Now, if you will look at some of my older videos, when I was living in a pop-up camper, I said, don't do what we're doing. I actually made our videos about live your own dream. Don't live mine, because mine's crazy. I live in a pop-up camper. Who would want to do that? And I said it all the time. I made the channel about living your dream. And it may not even necessarily be a nomad dream. It just live your dream. And I wanted to express to you that, you know, we're living our dream and this is a beautiful lifestyle for us, but don't do it yourself, because this is really complicated. But this fellow just commented the other day. He says, you convinced me to live in a pop-up camper, but then when it burned down, you convinced me not to live in a pop-up camper. Well, I'm trying to understand, how did I convince anybody to live in a pop-up camper when I was saying all along, don't live in a pop-up camper. It's a bad idea. It's a tough life. So people don't even really listen to what's being said. They only see what is being done and then say, well, I got to do it because somebody on social media is doing it. It's interesting how if you press somebody, they'll change their tune. I posted a video on a Facebook group and video where I talked about how the dream isn't necessarily what we thought it was going to be, and there's a lot of challenges living out here. And when the person replied underneath my video post on Facebook, for some reason people like to tell you exactly what's in the video so you don't have to watch the video. So she explains to the people in the group how I only was complaining that there's nothing great about this lifestyle, which isn't what I said, that I'm living someone else's dream. And she then finally said, but I'm living my dream and it's the best thing I could have possibly done. And so I replied back, I said, listen, I know you have the perfect lifestyle and everything's great and nothing ever goes wrong for you. But please be honest with folks that there are some challenges out here. We don't want to convince people to come out here and live without letting them know the challenges. Well, then she made 2 comments and I didn't have to pressure her that hard. Just one little snippet I said that said, okay, yeah, you're right. There's a lot of things out here that really complicated and it's not the greatest thing in the world, but it's better than what I have when I lived in a stick and brick because, I had to leave a bad situation. Well, then her dream wasn't to live out here in an art nomadic lifestyle. Her dream was to leave a bad situation back home. And that's what needs to be stated. What was the original dream? People don't talk about what the dream is. They only see, okay, that this thing, whatever this is, made my situation better than what that was. And that's not a dream. That's just trying to get away from a bad situation. So why does it people automatically assume that in order to get away from a bad situation, you need to go live in a van, car, or truck? Doesn't make any sense to me. If you're in a bad situation, go get real help. Not social media help. Social media is going to guide you in the wrong direction. And I think what it is people trying to make excuses for themselves why what their decision was to live out here wasn't a bad decision. I mean, think about it. You tell your folks, okay, I'm going to go out and live in my car, and your folks are like, wait a minute, oh, no, you're not. No, I'm doing great, it's going to be great. So they go out there to live in the car, they hate it. Well, what are they going to tell their parents? I hate it, you were right? No, they're going to tell their parents, oh, this is a great life. And so they try to convince themselves, and they try to convince everybody on social media. And before you know it, you got people just coming out here in droves. Thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe. Click like if you like the video.